Happy Wednesday to you. It's time for another day of ELA. We're going to start with synonyms and antonyms today. Let's just review what they are. You probably remember. A synonym is a word that means the same or almost the same as another word. An antonym is a word that is opposite in meaning to another word. So synonym starts with an S, same starts with an S. Antonym starts with a vowel, opposite starts with a vowel, A and O. Should help you remember them. Synonym, same, antonym, opposite. To understand vocabulary, look at the synonyms and antonyms of a word. Thinking about how the words are the same and different can help you understand their meanings better. To me, math is easy, but spelling is difficult. So are these synonyms or antonym? Easy and difficult. They're antonyms, aren't they? Because they don't mean the same thing. They mean opposite things. Look at the context clues. Math is easy, but spelling is difficult. So easy and difficult, that word but there, that contraction or conjunction but separates them and says easy, but this is difficult. So there's some context clues in there that helps us see those are antonyms. A two-headed snake is irregular and peculiar. Irregular and peculiar. So can something be one thing and the opposite of it? That'd be hard, wouldn't it? So since we've got an and between these words, they're synonyms. Irregular and peculiar means they're both it's a little weird. Irregular is a little weird. Peculiar is a little weird. A two-headed snake is both irregular and peculiar. Those are synonyms. They mean the same thing. The children sang loudly until I asked them to sing quietly. So we've got this until, which changes it, doesn't it? They were loud until I told them to sing quietly. So antonyms, loudly and quietly. She came in quietly and spoke softly. So that and tells us it's the same. Quietly and softly, they're synonyms, they're the same. So there's some context clues we can use to find out if something is a synonym of two words are synonyms or antonyms. Read the sentence, it helps you decide if you don't already know. Speaking of words, we better look at our vocabulary words again today. You're going to have a vocabulary assignment to do. So remember, these are in your story, Luz Sees the Light. They're at the bottom of the pages if you forget what they mean. So ecology. Ecology is the relationship between the living things and their environment. So I was thinking, as I look at this picture, if there was a person around, how do we and plants depend on each other? Do you remember photosynthesis? The plants produce oxygen, and we breathe out carbon dioxide. We breathe in the oxygen they produce, and they need the carbon dioxide we breathe out for photosynthesis to make their own food. So there's a relationship between us and plants, isn't there? The relationship between living things is ecology. Let's go to the next word. It is recycle. If you recycle something, you put it through a process so it can be reused. Let's look at what they're recycling here. They've got a little tote and they've got paper in it. So they're going to recycle this paper, some newspapers. And this tote looks like it has plastic in it. So recycle paper and plastic so it can be reused instead of just filling up the landfill with it, throwing it under a mountain of trash. At the landfill, we can recycle them so it can be reused, used again. Conservation is the next word. Looks like she's holding a little hedgehog there. Conservation is the act of saving and protecting the environment. And so she's probably giving these boys and girls a lesson on animals that live in the environment around them and how we can not pollute and harm the animals around us. Maybe that's what they're talking about. I'm inferring that, right? It's a cute little hedgehog. I'd like to get to pet that thing. Hope it doesn't bite that girl's finger. Conservation, saving and protecting the environment. Sanctuary. A sanctuary is where people or animals go to be safe from danger. So these elephants, if they're in an animal sanctuary, maybe in Africa, they're not allowed to be hunted. Some people do it illegally. Isn't that mean? They sell the elephant tusks for lots of money and kill the elephants. How mean. Well, a sanctuary is a place where animals can go and be safe from danger. Look at that cute little baby elephant there. Frequent. If something is frequent, it happens often. This looks like it is somebody's passport. If you've ever gone out of the United States to a different country, you probably haven't in the last year. But if you ever have, you have to take a passport. And when you go to the new country, they'll stamp it with their stamp. And your passport will have all the places, all the countries you've been in. When I was in college, I got to go to Europe. And we had to have a passport. And I got to stamp in Holland. And I got to stamp in England. And I got to stamp in Belgium. And I got to stamp in France. And I got to stamp in Scotland. That was a really cool trip. I'd like to go back and do it again, but I probably won't get to do that for a long, long time. But that was a really fun 2-week trip. Got to go to lots of countries when I was in college. Frequent. I can't frequently travel to Europe, but if something's frequent, it happens a lot. Sufficient. If something's sufficient, it's just what is needed and no more. So somebody's packing to go on a trip. I'm really bad to take more than what is sufficient. When I pack, I overpack all the time. How about you? I want to make sure I don't run out of clothes, or what if something spills on something? I need extra clothes. And so I always pack too much, and then it's too heavy, and I wish I didn't pack that much. Just pack what's sufficient, just what is needed and no more. Next word is oasis. An oasis is a relaxing or peaceful spot in an area that's unpleasant in some way. Maybe he's in a busy, busy city with lots of traffic, but in the middle of the city, there's some kind of park where he can sit on the bench and drink some coffee and read a newspaper. His own little oasis to relax in a busy area. Oasis, relaxing, peaceful spot in an area that's unpleasant in some way. Permission. If you get permission, someone who's in charge allows you to do what you ask to do. He looks like he's maybe asking something he's not supposed to ask. That mom's like, no way, you're not going to do that. He's like, please. I don't know what's going on there. That's what it looks like to me. Permission, getting permission to do something that you ask to do. Installing, setting something up to make it ready to use. This guy looks like he's installing a new stained glass window. That's pretty, isn't it? Getting it ready to use, installing it. Abandoned. If a place is abandoned, it's no longer cared for, no longer used, like the abandoned car there in the middle of a big field. It's no longer cared for and no longer used. Okay, that's the next week words. All right, so what I want you to do for me today, first, is I want you to reread by yourself Luz Sees the Light. It's kind of fun. It's kind of comic book style. So reread it. Remember, it starts on page 210 in your book and goes to page 240. So go back and reread Luz Sees the Light for me today. Also, you're going to have on your Google Slides today some proofreading, but we're going to do a little differently today. So if you will look at this slide, this is what it is today. You have 2 sentences. Today, you're not moving any little yellow dots over the mistakes. You're going to rewrite the sentences. So you'll just click in the yellow box and you got to type the correct way to write that sentence. Now, me and my dog like the smell of summer flowers. First off, you don't ever say me at the beginning of a sentence. Should you say, would it be eat me like the smell of summer flowers? No, it should be I, right? I would start this sentence, my dog and I like the smell of summer flowers. Looks like we need some spacing. Smell is not spelled right, so look at these carefully. It's the time of year when crops grow in the fields. Crops, is that how you spell crops? Maybe a couple other errors here in this sentence. So you're just going to click in the box and type them correctly, and I'll go and make sure you typed them correctly and spelled them correctly for the grade today, okay? So that's what I need you to do. Also, you'll have your vocabulary assignment to complete today. Read Luz Sees the Light first, page 210 in your book. Get started on that for me right now.